I was completely unaware that life could still present me with such unanticipated surprises when I was 64 years old. In the same way that countless other days had been before it, it was a typical day on the farm. I was going about my regular responsibilities when I saw that the sun was high in the sky, and its warmth was blanketing the fields. A small breeze offered some comfort to the situation. This was the land that I had lived on for the majority of my life. The farm has been a safe haven for me ever since the death of my spouse. It has provided me with a place of comfort. But today was different. It seemed as though there was something unseen in the air, and I was unable to shake the feeling that I was being watched. Over the course of the past 3 weeks, my nephew Mitchell had been staying with me, assisting me with housework and ensuring that I was well taken care of. Mitchell, who was in his early 20s at the time, was a striking young guy who was powerful, charming, and possessed an ease that was disarming. Without his presence, the peaceful farmhouse would have been devoid of the warmth that I so much needed. A hole that I had neglected for a long time was filled by his laughter, the meals that we shared, and the steady hum of conversation. It was sometimes the case that I felt myself observing him too closely, despite the fact that he was my nephew. That afternoon, we worked together in the barn, where we were responsible for transporting bales of hay and taking care of the animals. The sweat was glistening on his forehead, and his shirt was clinging to his strong body. The ease with which he moved, his strength and grace, and the way in which they were in perfect tune with his surroundings I could not help but admire. It was at the time that he was bending down to pick up another bale that I became aware of my admiration for his strength. My heart began to beat in a way that I hadn't experienced in many years. We took a break and sat down on a wooden fence that overlooked the fields before continuing on with our journey. As the sun began to set, the sky took on a variety of pink and gold hues, and it shed a gentle glow to the entire area. Mitchell turned his attention to me, his eyes appearing calm yet intense. "You've accomplished so much here, Aunt Beth," he said, his admiration evident. "I don't know how you manage it every day." I smiled, slightly awkward under his gaze, and replied, "I'm equally mystified at how you handle it daily." As I met his eyes, the awkwardness lingered. I shrugged my shoulders and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear as I said, "It's just life. All I am aware of is that." A sharp chill ran down my spine as Mitchell reached out and touched my hand. He leaned in slightly and made contact with my hand. His gaze lingered, and at that precise instant, something shifted for the better. It was no longer the case that he was gazing at me like his aunt. I was struck by something more profound, something that caused my heart rate to increase. We were both silent, and the air was thick with thoughts that were not being expressed. My mind was racing, and my heart was beating so fast that I wanted to break it, to say something that was humorous at the same time. Mitchell softly placed his palm on mine, as if he could sense the confusion that I was experiencing. He started by saying, "Beth," with a barely audible whisper. "Despite the fact that I am at a loss for words, I am experiencing something that I simply cannot ignore." I took a deep breath, my throat feeling dry. "May I ask what you mean?" My eyes were flooded with feelings that I had not anticipated when his eyes delved into mine. "I am aware that we are related, but there is something about you that I am unable to articulate. The way you laugh and the way you are always on my mind. I think about you all the time. There is something about you that causes me to experience emotions that I have never experienced before." The news left me speechless and in shock. What the heck might be going on here? How is it possible that Mitchell, who is so young and full of energy, would say such things to me? Nevertheless, on the other hand, when I met his stare, I became aware of two sentiments that I had repressed for a long time, feelings that I could no longer choose to ignore. As I looked out over the fields, I stutteringly murmured, "Mitchell, I don't know what to say." At that moment, the world collapsed into quiet all around us. As my heart raced, feelings that I hadn't allowed myself to experience in years began to surface. I had not allowed myself to feel them. Despite the fact that there were a great number of inquiries and uncertainties, none of them appeared to be significant at that particular moment. The significance of the moment was the undeniable connection that existed between us, and the intensity of the moment itself.